His arrival revolutionized the power forward position. No player before him has ever possessed his combination of size and speed. Malone was unquestionably the best pick-and-roll big man of all time. Challenged the twin towers of David Robinson and Tim Duncan by beating San Antonio.
Malone working in the post, time winding.
Welcome, everyone, as we take a stroll down memory lane. This is Kevin Harlan alongside Clark Kellogg and Steve Karl. And we've got a great matchup for you with the Spurs and the Jazz.
And what a battle this will be at the power forward position. You'll get Karl Malone when he was at his best going up against a very young Tim Duncan. Two of the best forwards ever to play the game.
But that's where the similarities end for these two teams. Stockton gives the Jazz an edge in the backcourt, but the Spurs have the Admiral, David Robinson, holding down at center.
All eyes will be on Malone and Duncan, though. Sit tight, everyone, as we get ready to get things going. Now look at the Jazz. Stockton and Malone out there, of course. They're joined by Hornacek at the 2, with Keith in at the 3. Rounding things out for them is Foster in at the 5, warming the paint. A check of the Spurs now on the San Antonio Twin Towers. Tim Duncan and David Robinson, the Admiral, at the 4 and 5. Sean Elliott slots in at the small forward position. And it's Vinny Del Negro and the little General Avery Johnson as the backcourt.
Well, you score as well as Malone, and you get a nickname pretty quickly. The mailman seemed pretty apt, too, given how dependable he was to fill up the box score night in and night out. How about that interior passing, guys? That's beautiful.
San Antonio on D. And Malone backing in. And there's the 3-second call, this one on the defense. Back to Malone, 19 years in the NBA for the mailman, and only in his first and last did he fail to average more than 20 points a game. Unbelievable.
Consistency, dependability, reliability. I mean, those are things you think about when you mention the name Karl Malone. I mean, being able to play at a level like that for an extended period of time, that's remarkable. It really is. You know, he can actually be dominant inside. I mean, it's impossible to push him around on the low block.
Malone is whistled for reaching in. That's his first foul. Here's Duncan. The pass to Del Negro. Hornacek with the steal.
Well, when Duncan came out of Wake Forest as a senior, everyone thought he would end up in Boston. The Celtics had 2 lottery picks, but the Spurs got lucky. They got the #1 pick, and the rest is history.
Malone.
Well, they're shooting 75% here early on, even with that miss.
Johnson down low. He's covered by Stockton. No good from Duncan. Talking about that draft, Rick Pitino was the coach of the Celtics, and he thought maybe the odds would swing his way for his Celtics to draft Tim Duncan. The Celtics had 2 picks and the best odds of landing that #1.
Yeah,
but
it sure
didn't
did,
work
Kevin.
out.
I mean, David Robinson helped the Spurs even when he wasn't playing with that. His injury got them in the Duncan sweepstakes, and they took Timmy, giving birth to the Twin Towers in San Antonio. So it's not always what the odds are in your favor. It's how things play out in reality that makes the difference.
3-pointer, and there's Karl Malone on the assist by Hornacek. Malone's got 5 now. Here's Del Negro. And San Antonio calls the first timeout of the game.
And Coach could tell they were out of sync. We're just going to try to straighten it out. You know, one thing that can be said about both Stockton and Malone, I think they were 2 of the toughest players you'd ever see on the floor. They didn't back up from anybody. They were consistent, and they both were durable.
Persons checked in for the Spurs. Jackson comes in for Del Negro. Johnson kicks to Robinson. There's the block. And it's Utah's ball. Big stretch here going 10-2. They grab their own miss. Kicks it out to Malone. He shoots again. Gets it to go. He has 7.
Karl Malone scoring now on consecutive trips. He's getting it going.
Johnson against Stockton. A runner. Blocked. With the second effort. Rebounded by the Jazz.
And excellent interior defense there. Good rotations.
No doubt about it, Steve. He's a real presence inside. Takes up a lot of space.
Now here's Stockton. Corner shot. And there's Karl Malone on the assist by Stockton. Malone's got 9. Talking about their toughness, Clark, they would back each other up in a lot of cases. Not afraid to stir the pot at all on the floor. And Steve, you saw that firsthand.
Well, John Stockton was so tough. He was scrappy, and then Karl Malone was always kind of the big brother who would look after him. And together, they were really, really tough. Well-contested shot, and they did an excellent job of not fouling the shooter.
Defense is about effort and commitment and discipline. He's a good defender because of those things.
And Stockton backing in. Stockton right side. Again, the Jazz score.
At the end of his career, Stockton would be playing in a game and you'd just forget he was 40 years old, but he still was very effective at that age.
San Antonio calls timeout.
They seem to have lost their mojo offensively. Probably a good timeout here to try to get a play in and jumpstart their offense.
And the Jazz with some changes. Antoine Carr, he's checked in for Malone. Anderson comes in for Jeff Hornacek. And Isley subbed in for John Stockton. Then for the Spurs, Elliott's checked in for Duncan. And it's Del Negro in for Johnson. Robinson, Ostertag defending. Moving the ball. Lifts up. Here's Person, and it's good. Fought through contact, hits the shot. He'll go to the free throw line. We're just talking about John Stockton's age. His final year was 40 years old. He was still playing and competing at the very same level.
To be honest, Kevin, he probably could have been a starting point guard maybe until age 45 or thereabouts. The way he ran the pick and roll was so efficient. His game wasn't predicated on great athleticism. It was quickness and smarts and toughness. I think it'll be a while before we see another player as effective as he was in their 40s. Although Jason Kidd, at 38, an NBA champion, he looks to be able to go another couple of years as well at a high level.
Robinson backs down with 4 seconds on the clock, and Robinson knocks down the J.
And they're making this a game here, putting together a nice run.
Making it a game? How about anybody's game? They've caught fire, and it's a toss-up right now, guys.
Del Negro. Shot misses. At the end of one, both teams putting up some points. Jazz lead by 3.
Well, the thing they tried to establish right away was the presence down low. You look at the points in the paint. I think that's been the difference.
Yeah, and I like the fact, Steve, that they're not settling for the outside shots. Go in there and get what you want.
And off we go, a close game. Now starting the second quarter.
Well, you look at Karl Malone out there. He's just so strong with the ball in his hands, and scoring was just so easy for him.
Antoine Carr out there with Malone. That's Brian Russell. Then it's Isley. And it's Ostertag again at the 5, roaming the court. That's the 5 on the floor for the Jazz. Here's Jackson. Off target from outside. And Steve, what you said about Malone, his upper body strength was second to none when he was in the league. Clark, you can appreciate that, a guy with your size battling another guy who's even bigger on that front line.
Yeah, and I actually had a chance to bump heads with Karl early in his career back in 84, 85, 86. And one thing about it was his strength. That's the thing that jumped out at you. His speed as well. He could take contact so easily in the low post and play through contact because he was so strong. You never were in a position where you could knock him off balance because he was just anchored in because of that strength. Well, I like that he's come up with some big baskets for this team to help him out in getting this lead.
The rebound by Malone. Malone's got 3 rebounds so far in the game. Guarded now by Jackson. And the 3 off target. Spurs trail by 5.
Well, Vinny Del Negro is pretty much a basketball lifer, guys. From his earliest days growing up in the shadow of the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield to North Carolina State to the NBA, he's been in basketball most of his life.
Yeah, he's been around all right. Played professionally in Italy before coming back and having a successful NBA career, mostly with San Antonio. And, of course, now he's gone on to coach in the NBA.
Here's Duncan, up and in by Duncan.
Tim Duncan's so good down in the post. The game just seems to come very naturally to him.
And Malone backing in. So the whistle blows on the shot, and 2 free throws for the contact right there.
Well, you look at that well-sculpted body of Malone's. I mean, his size is intimidating. You know, his workout routine is the stuff of legends. I mean, really intense in terms of his weight training.
John Stockton, he's checked in for Isaac. Then for the Spurs, Robinson's checked in for Purdue. Person comes in for Elliott. And it's Johnson in for Jackson. Johnson, the pass to Robinson. With the shot. Robinson steamrolling through the Jazz team.
That's the second bucket in a row for the Admiral.
Stockton against Johnson. Stockton right side, and it's Johnson picking him up. Inside Leaner, and the jumper is on the mark. Stockton's got 6. Like we talked about Malone's condition. He got the most out of his frame and then some, and Stevie continued that throughout his great career.
Well, he added a lot of muscle after coming out of Louisiana Tech and became a real fitness buff during his career. That was one of the reasons he was able to play for so long and at such a high rate.
John Stockton showing off his range.
Well, they've got to do something defensively because he's been unstoppable.
And defensively, Steve, your only choice now is to double him. I mean, I don't think there's another option.
Johnson kicks to Duncan.
A lot of hands down there on the block. That's a tough position to be in offensively.
A finish. Here's Malone, and the officials whistle a foul on the shot. The bucket's good. He'll go to the line. Elliott's checked in for San Antonio. Jackson comes in for Del Negro. And no problem at the line here for the three-point play.
Malone played his college ball at Louisiana Tech and was a force there, as you might well imagine. Very difficult to contain.
Time called here. The Spurs decide to talk it over. Talk about Malone in college, Clark, because Louisiana Tech isn't a huge basketball school. You know, Steve, he flew under the radar just a bit in terms of NBA scouting.
Yeah, and I think that at the time, Kevin, you know, when you went to a smaller school, sometimes you did get passed up. I don't think that's the case anymore. But, yeah, Malone went 13th overall. There were 4 other power forwards that went before him in that 85 draft, but obviously he turned into the best one of all.
And Foster kicks to Stockton. Guarded now by Jackson. Wasted no time on that one. Stockton's got 12 points in the game. Hornacek against Jackson. Person kicks to Johnson. Picked up by Stockton. Clock at 6. Passes it to Robinson. Foster on him. Puts up the baby hook. So he gets the whistle. Contact on the way up and 2 shots coming up.
Well, David Robinson had such an incredible career. Took home the MVP trophy in '95, but maybe his best year was '94. He just took his play to a different level.
And so he makes both from the line. We're talking about 94 for David Robinson. The numbers back it up. 30 points a game, Clark. Almost 11 rebounds, too. I mean, impressive number.
Big time, Kevin and Steve. Not to mention 3 blocks and almost 5 assists as well. I mean, he did everything you'd want from the center position that year. An opportunity to check out the Admiral here. David Robinson, of course, earning that name for the time he served as an officer in the Navy, and that was just the beginning of what ended up being a Hall of Fame career for him.
We talked about Robinson in college. What a force he was for the midshipmen. Steve, was kind of odd to see the Naval Academy so involved in the high rankings in college basketball.
Yeah, it was an anomaly for sure. David Robinson, when he arrived at Navy, only about 6'7", but he quickly grew to 7 feet, and he was so dominant that he immediately carried that team to almost the top of collegiate basketball. They made the Final 8 before losing to Duke his final year there, and man, what a career. 28 points, 12 rebounds a game by the time he left the Naval Academy. And he cannot play any better than he is right now in this quarter, guys.
And Malone backing in. And there's another one for the Jams.
Kevin, great finish on the low block. I love it.
Johnson with it. Here's Person. A three-pointer is right on target. He's got 11. And that does it for the first half of play. And we'll see you in just a moment. As we begin the second half, first half wasn't even close, guys, and we'll see if there is a comeback on our hands or more of the same as we get the third quarter started.
How about the consistency of Karl Malone throughout his career? So impressive. 25 points, 10 boards a game, and he was at that level for so long.
On the court for San Antonio, we've got Johnson. Elliott is out there with Duncan. Then it's Del Negro, and it's Robinson in at the 5. Johnson against Stockton. Stockton is tagged with the reach. That is his first foul of the game. We talked about Malone's ability to produce. He could be penciled in for those numbers for a stretch of about 18 years. And Jerry Sloan was his coach and said one of the great players, Clark, that he's ever had in the NBA.
Well, Kevin and Steve, remarkable consistency. And that, too, is a measure of greatness. It's not just the numbers. It's doing it time and time and time again. Every year, you could count on him to lead the way scoring and rebounding for the Jazz. And every year, that expectation was there, and he met it.
Back to Malone. Duncan on him. Fires it up.
Well, they are getting out-rebounded here, and it's showing up on the scoreboard as well.
Yeah, it's something they're going to have to improve upon if they're going to win this game.
Del Negro the pass to Duncan. Pass to Del Negro. Johnson outside. Moving it around nicely. 6 on the shot clock. Here is Elliott. Still looking to get on the scoreboard. No good there off the double clutch.
Well, you take a look at the accolades between Stockton and Malone. I mean, 23 trips to the All-Star game between them. Well, that's Hall of Fame worthy on its own.
Del Negro kicks to Johnson. Kicks to Duncan. Working on Malone. Shoots it. Good from 11 feet out. 6 points for Duncan. Well, Clark, you mentioned their accolades. 15 All-NBA first-team appearances, 8 second-team appearances, 4 third-team. Steve, they were just fixtures as the league's best for so long.
Well, Stockton and Malone, I mean, just saying those two names together has a ring to it for an NBA fan. It just, you know, those two names signify pick and roll and teamwork and the Utah Jazz. You say their names and so much comes to mind. They were an unbelievable tandem.
Del Negro against Hornacek. 3-pointers. Stockton. Tim Duncan with the rebound. Spurs trail by 11. And so he draws the foul on the shot. A trip to the line to shoot 2. They get John Stockton.
That's good defense. Don't let a guy get a lay-in, foul hard, and send him to the free throw line.
Yeah, I like that billboard there. Sending a message. You can't come in here and get anything free in our paint.
Looking at who's out there now for the Jazz. Greg Ostertag, he's checked in for Foster. And it's Russell in for Keith. Person's checked in for San Antonio.
Kind of funny to see someone like Tim Duncan, who is now an elder statesman in the league, as a bright-eyed youngster on this team.
From past the arc. Goes back up. Deflected by Malone. Jazz leading by 9. And here's Ostertag. Del Negro defending. Ostertag against Del Negro. The 3 is launched, and that is good. Hornacek's got 6 points. You talked about Tim Duncan. Make no mistake, though, he was an impact player from the get-go after playing 4 years at Wake Forest.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching him in college. Had a chance to cover him a couple of times in person. And as a rookie, he averaged 21 points and 12 rebounds a game and did not miss a beat. Really outstanding from day one in the NBA.
Isley's checked in for the Jazz.
Yeah, the Jazz obviously benefited so greatly from the talents of John Stockton and Karl Malone, but what was really impressive is the longevity of their respective careers.
Poked away. Here's Del Negro. Nice movement. Beyond the arc. San Antonio again missing. We're talking about durability. They were always good, Stockton and Malone, for 82 games this season. Rarely missed any time at all.
Yeah, and I think that's as impressive as anything they did. I mean, the consistency is there. The production is there. But the fact that they were so durable. Part of it is fitness. Clearly, you've got to put in the time. Part of it is DNA in terms of how you're made from the inside out. Some of it is the physical skills you bring to the table. And then some of it is, being fortunate. The game.
And the mailman slams it down.
Yes, indeedy. Boy, I love that one. That's not just any plain dunk. That has some panache to it.
It's an energizer, guys. That is an energizer.
That is, and that will lift the whole team up. The lift they've gotten from him today has been huge. I mean, he's been steady offensively, and it's helped them get out in front here so far.
That's why you push the ball. You score before the defense has a chance to set up.
Exactly. They had the defense on its heels that time.
John Stockton, one of the last guys in the NBA to stick to those short shorts. Not much of a legacy, John. Come on.
No, well, it is one because so many guys disowned him as soon as they could, so he still stands out. And if they were comfortable for him, you can't fault him, Steve. I mean, he liked them. They felt good to him, and that's the end of the story.
Robinson picks him up. Malone. Oh, yes, the turnaround. Malone's got 6 in the quarter.
When there's little or no D on this guy and he's headed to the rim, just chalk it up and go on.
Del Negro kicks to Robinson. Takes it up. A strong move inside by the Admiral.
Well, they've got to do something defensively because he's been unstoppable.
And defensively, Steve, your only choice now is to double him. I mean, I don't think there's another option.
Well, through 3 quarters of play, down double digits, it may be difficult to overcome. We're seeing a tremendous game so far from Karl Malone.
Yeah, the defensive effort and intensity has been fantastic, and you can tell he's really inspiring his team with his play.
Yeah, his emotion and his production. He's been patrolling the court, blocking shot after shot out there, and he's really made a statement with his defensive effort.
It's
look at what Karl Malone did in his MVP season. 96 27. Just a monstrous year for him at that power forward position. He really led the way for the Jazz that season.
We've got Ostertag. Isley is out there with Brian Russell. And there's Malone. And it's Karl in at the 4 spot. That's the 5 on the floor for the Jazz. Here's Johnson. He's picked up by Russell. Johnson gets the bucket. You talked about his MVP season. Here are some numbers. 27 points a game. 10 rebounds a game. 4 assists a game. Clark, he also made first-team All-D.
Well, one number I'd like to add to that, Kevin, is 64. That was 64 wins for the Utah Jazz team. I mean, it wasn't like those numbers were in vain. He was helping to win games, too.
Isley gets the reach-in call. That is his first foul of the game. He passes to Elliott. Puts it up. Deflected by Malone. Second chance shot. And it's going to be 2 free throws. Drew contact on the shot. And the first one at the line is good. And he makes both free throws.
They're locked in from the charity stripe this half. Not a miss yet.
And they're going to have to continue that pace, Clark, because they're down, and every time you're losing, you've got to take advantage of every offensive opportunity you have.
3 scores in a row now, all from Malone, guys. When Avery Johnson's career ended as a player, his time in the NBA did not. Less than 6 months after hanging up his sneakers, he was a head coach.
No, and he had a great run coaching the Mavericks. He did something that no other coach had done before in Dallas, taking the Mavs to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history. He's done a ton to help his team, guys, and he may have to do more if they're going to come back and win.
Kevin, overall, they're still doing a pretty good job maintaining possession of the ball.
And that's the problem when you don't protect the ball.
Exactly. When you surrender the ball like that, you put your defense at a huge disadvantage.
John Stockton, who's checked in for the Jazz. Clean game for them, as you were saying.
Yeah, I think so. Coach has to be pretty pleased with the way they're playing right now. That's fun to watch.
Puts up a 3, gets it to go. Stockton's got 24.
Stockton with the touch from downtown.
Spurs trail by 13. Outside Jackson. Karl against Williams. Del Negro kicks to Robinson. 6 to shoot. The turnaround J. Jazz leading by 13. Here's Malone. The basket is good. The assist from Stockton. Malone's got 6 here in this quarter.
Uh-oh, that's 4 in a row for Malone. If I'm Utah, I'm going down on the block to him every time down the floor.
You know, if you could call it this, the one thing that will always be a blemish on Stockton and Malone's record is they never won it all. It just never came together for them in any single year, in part because the Chicago Bulls were standing there to keep them from getting to that trophy.
Looking at who's out there now for the Jazz. Foster's checked in for Ostertag. Keith comes in for Antoine Karl. And it's Hornacek in for Brian Russell. Del Negro against Stockton. Here's Robinson. Lays it up and banks it in. Like you mentioned, no rings an issue, and Michael Jordan and the Bulls were that hurdle in their way. And, Steve, it really was bad timing for him, probably in most cases.
Yeah, John Stockton.
Whoa!
Well, he's got enough hang time there to put a little something extra on that one. 2 scoops of ice cream after that.
Well, that's it's going to be remembered from this game, that's for sure.
I think that was more like a banana split, Clark.
And the Spurs with some changes. Will Purdue's checked in for Robinson. Duncan comes in for Williams. And it's Johnson in for Elliott. Free throw drops from Malone.
Now, the Jazz have had so many great seasons over the years. Tough to pick what was their best team. Of course, they did make the finals in both 96 and 97.
Shoots from 12. Utah with the rebound. Malone's got 7 rebounds in the game. And Foster kicks to Malone. With the lead pass. And the shot is good. And the Jazz lead by 18. Trying to pick the best Jazz year for this duo? Not an easy task. Winning-wise, they'll probably have to be 97.
Well, in that year, Steve and Kevin, they had 64 wins. But Stockton and Malone had their best statistical years back in 90 and 91. I think they probably would give the nod to wins, and that's what we'll do too.
Here's what San Antonio's going with right now. Robinson comes in for Will Purdue, and Elliott subbed in for Jackson. Stockton from outside, and the Jazz another 3.
No, you can put this one in the W column. I mean, this is locked up now.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. I mean, they closed this game out exactly like they needed to.
Johnson kicks to Robinson. Shoots over Malone. Once again off the mark by San Antonio. Del Negro defending. Del Negro gets called for the reach. That is his first foul of the game.
Frustration foul there. You've got to maintain your composure.
Yeah, he lost his cool there, Steve. I mean, you can understand it, but you can't excuse it.
Three-pointer, Stockton gets it to go. Stockton's got 30.
They're in a groove now. These three-pointers just falling at will here in the second half.
Yeah, I think the defense has got major headaches because this team's just not missing.
To end the run, and Duncan gets it to go on the assist by Del Negro. Del Negro's got his 4th assist with that last one here tonight. And Malone backing in. Covered by Duncan. Duncan with the block. And so here is San Antonio. Robinson working against Hornacek. Here is Elliott. Shoots. It's rebounded by Stockton. And Duncan throws it down hard.
Well, he's all business. Look at that. He brings some intensity with him when he comes out onto the court, doesn't he?
And it does come out, you're right, and is rebounding more than anywhere else.
Yeah, I'd agree, particularly at the offensive end where he can follow the board with that slam. He loves those putbacks.
Takes it up. Here's Robinson. And it's Utah's ball. They're on a 16-6 run. Here's Malone. Drained for 2 points. Malone's got 39.
Looks like it's over. Double-digit margin, clock running down. Just take care of the ball now.
Yep, it's a simple equation. This one's over. Use the clock and take care of the arm.
Three-pointer from Stockton. And again, it's the Jazz from deep.
And that ought to do it. That should seal the deal.
Yep, I agree. Closing it out with relish.
And he commits the intentional foul.
I'm not sure what he was thinking about there. That's a strange foul.
Who knows? Maybe he just wanted to take a break for a minute.
And so Del Negro nails both of them. 5 seconds left in the 4th quarter. He got it up. No good there. And so it's Utah easily grabbing the win.
Two of the best power forwards came to do battle, but in the end, it was the Jazz who came through.
To me, it just seemed like they had a more complete team top to bottom than the Spurs did. It was a good matchup, though.
That'll do it for us. Thanks for looking back at NBA history with us, including a look at the Jazz and Spurs. For Clark Kellogg and Steve Kerr, Kevin Harlan saying good night, and thanks for watching 2K Sports.